All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're tackling one of the most complex and, frankly, disturbing stories of our time, the whole Jeffrey Epstein saga. I mean, this is a story about how insane amounts of money and a web of powerful connections allowed a massive criminal operation to thrive right out in the open for decades. And the secrets? Well, they're still coming out and shaking the very foundations of power. The whole thing just feels like it's shrouded in mystery, right? You've got this notorious private island, a secret list of some of the most powerful people on the planet, and then a death in a super secure jail that just creates way more questions than answers. So the big question is, how on earth do all these pieces even connect? Okay, so to really grasp the sheer scale of this operation and the secrets it's still holding, we've got to go back. We need to start at the beginning. Because believe it or not, all of these mysteries, they all lead back to one single place, the absolute epicenter of Epstein's criminal empire. And that place, a 72-acre private paradise in the Caribbean. But this was a paradise with a very, very dark secret. This was no vacation spot. Let's be clear, it was a crime scene. Yeah, this island, which got the nickname Epstein Island, was the absolute hub of his whole operation. I mean, on the surface, it looked like a billionaire's playground. It had luxury resorts, libraries, even this weird temple-like building. But that was all just a facade. Underneath it all, this was the place where powerful people would fly in and where underage girls were horrifically and systematically abused. So that brings us to the man himself. Who was this guy at the center of it all? And how in the world does a former school teacher end up with this kind of power and this kind of wealth? I mean, his rise to the top was just unbelievably fast. So check this out. Jeffrey Epstein's journey from being a math teacher at a super elite private school to a mysterious billionaire is, well, it's pretty wild. He basically used the connections he made at that school to get his foot in the door on Wall Street. From there, he became the go-to money manager for billionaires. And that's what gave him the money and, more importantly, the keys to this exclusive elite world. And this is absolutely crucial to understand. Epstein was not acting alone, not even close. He built this incredibly sophisticated network to make his crimes possible. And that network? It included some of the most famous and powerful people in the world. His main partner in crime was Ghislaine Maxwell, a British socialite with serious connections. Think of it like this. Epstein brought the money, the power, the locations, but Maxwell, she was the mastermind recruiter. She was the one who allegedly used her high society status to find, groom, and then traffic young girls straight into Epstein's web. And then there was his private jet, which got the infamous nickname the Lolita Express. The list of people who flew on that thing is just shocking. We're talking former President Bill Clinton, who flew on it 26 times. Donald Trump was a friend of his back in the 90s. And maybe most famously, Britain's Prince Andrew, who was accused by survivor Virginia Giuffre. That whole situation ended with him paying a multi-million-dollar settlement and getting stripped of his royal titles. So you have to ask, right? How did he keep all these powerful people in his orbit? Well, here's where it gets even darker. When the FBI raided his homes, they found troves of CDs and photos. This discovery fueled all this speculation that he wasn't just hosting these people, he was blackmailing them. And if that's true, it would have given him insane leverage and, a ton of protection. So eventually the law starts to close in on him, right around the mid-2000s. But it seemed like Epstein's influence was so powerful that he could just buy his way out of real consequences. He got a deal that honestly can only be described as a total mockery of justice. I mean, listen to this. Even with overwhelming evidence from dozens of victims, his lawyers cut a secret deal in 2008. This wasn't just a slap on the wrist, it was a complete failure of the system. The deal was made behind closed doors, which actually violated the Crime Victims' Rights Act. So instead of life in prison, which is what he was facing, Epstein gets only 18 months. And get this, he was allowed to leave the jail for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week for work release. And the worst part, the deal gave immunity not just to him, but to any of his potential co-conspirators. But the story doesn't end there. Years go by, and then, thanks to some incredibly courageous investigative journalism and the sheer bravery of survivors who just refused to be silenced, the case came roaring back to life. The whole thing just exploded in 2018.
A journalist named Julie K. Brown published a report that completely blew the lid off that secret plea deal. That reporting directly led to Epstein getting arrested again in 2019, this time on federal charges. But then, just a month later, before he could ever stand trial and name names, he was found dead in his jail cell. Now, his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, was eventually caught and sentenced to 20 years. But Epstein's death? It left all the biggest questions just hanging in the air.
Officially, his death was ruled a suicide. But let's be real. The circumstances around it are so bizarre and so suspicious that a lot of people are convinced it was anything but. And why are people so skeptical? Well, just look at the facts. The night he died, the security cameras outside his cell mysteriously malfunctioned. The 2 guards who were supposed to be watching him, they fell asleep. Oh, and he had just been taken off suicide watch. It's this string of coincidences that has led so many to believe that Epstein didn't kill himself. He was silenced.
So with Epstein dead and Maxwell in prison, you'd think, okay, case closed. But not even close. The story is far from over. The fallout is still exposing this huge web of secrets, and the fight to get the full truth is very much still happening. Just look at this number, $121 million. That is a staggering amount of money. It's how much has been paid out from a special compensation fund set up from Epstein's estate to more than 150 of his victims. And while it's some measure of justice, money can never, ever erase that kind of trauma. And now we're starting to see the slow release of the Epstein Files, which are these court documents. And they're slowly starting to pull back the curtain, confirming some names, some details. But honestly, it really feels like the tip of the iceberg. There's a huge legal battle still going on over what the public gets to see, because there are still over 1 million pages of documents that are sealed. When you step back and look at the whole thing, the Epstein saga is just this chilling reminder of how extreme wealth and power can be turned into a weapon used to bend the justice system, to silence victims, and to prey on the most vulnerable. And so that leaves us with the biggest question of all. Jeffrey Epstein, the man, is gone. But what about the powerful network he built and served? That still exists. And while his main accomplice is behind bars, the secrets of who knows how many of his other associates might still be protected. It leaves you wondering if the full, unvarnished truth is something we'll ever really get.